being on the receiving end of a narcissist or narcissistic psychopath's wrath, that despite having seen it with your own eyes and experienced the blow from the pain with each cut they methodically make to ensure you feel each one as they repeatedly and continuously cut away at you till it reaches your core, yet even after all you have endured, legitimately still feels almost unbelievable, racking your brain in effort to find a valid explanation that will help to make sense of all the questions and what the fuck's going off in your head like some kind of grand finale at a fireworks show. Something that will serve as means of closure after being brutally and abruptly discarded, to help ease the perplexing nature of how it is even possible for them to be frolicking hand in hand, skipping through the sunflower fields and playing Betty Homemaker with their new supply, as you sit there trying to gather the pieces of what's left of your soul from up off of the floor, in hopes that doing so will help make some kind of order out of the clusterfuck the narcissist madhouse, unfun, and misery created of your life, and by literally what all ultimately comes down to being the most imperative thing for anyone to not only radically accept at full face value, but to consciously and constantly remind yourself of, especially during moments when you are interacting or communicating with a narcissist and or searching to find some kind of answers or understanding about anything pertaining to narcissist and why they did what they did or they do what they do. To which is one, you cannot in any way, shape, form, or fashion go about this in means of viewing it as trying to make sense of it from, or go about handling it in the same way that you would go about it when dealing with the average person or neurotypical. Because the bottom line is that narcissists do not think the same way you do. They do not work out of or from within the same mental toolbox that you do. And two, this process to why they don't is not something that just occurs in their head or from within this magically fantastical belief that they very much do believe to their being more almighty than God, but rather it's a process that there are very real means that they use to achieve this, that they have diligently practiced and repeatedly employed as part of their daily regimen from as long as they can remember. It is a process that is not the result of uncontrolled impulses, but one that is hand-built, well-crafted through learned behaviors that they have tweaked and been finely tuning their entire lives. A process that is 100% deliberately designed to be incredibly destructive to others' mental state as a way to ensure that others will not pick up on what is under the surface of their lies and deception so they can obtain the lifeblood they need to fuel their fragile ego. It is a process that's ultimately aimed to achieve one and one thing only, to which all roads lead in the world of a narcissist: keeping their delusions of grandeur and superiority alive and Fantasyland Island open for admission. And it's the only way for them to do this. It requires external reinforcements. Having no core identity, they are incapable of self-validation. But to admit to this, in their mind, means admitting that they are inferior to those who are able and capable of internally self-validating. So their way around this is what I meant by they achieve this through very real means. Altering the perception they have of themselves by dehumanizing them so that they will eventually lose touch with who they are anymore. Because narcissists do not stand a chance going toe-to-toe with anyone who is working off of a healthy mindset confident in themselves and trust their own judgment. And this process of objectification and dehumanization, combined with their lack of empathy, lack of object constancy, makes for the ideal scenario that allows them to easily control others. They can use them for their own personal gain in the same manner that you would any other inanimate object. Because what is valuable to a narcissist is the supply. It is not the source to which provides. It allows them to repeatedly commit such heinous acts of hateful and hurtful abuse without any signs of remorse. Nothing brings them more pleasure. Seeing the despair wash over your face. Because to make one suffer is to make one go against their own will. And that is the ultimate form of control, but what truly gives them the upper hand and is the secret ingredient to their brain fucking you to the point of insanity sauce in their knowing that all the while they are going about this process, slowly chipping away, dehumanizing you to make you lose touch of who you are doing everything you can to humanize their thought process and the motives behind their actions, trying to make sense of all of it from the same context and framework as if they were doing the things that they do, working from the same mental toolbox that you do. That will not work. No matter how hard you try, it's impossible. And why the best advice that anyone can ever give you to go about dealing with a narcissist is to simply don't. Because our having effective empathy, intersubjective understanding, and object constancy makes it infinitely more difficult for you to try and not humanize their behaviors than it does for them to dehumanize you. And literally is the reason for 99% of what gets people stuck on trying to figure out something in regards to these people. Being able to stop humanizing their action truly will be the best defense that you have against these creatures and the golden ticket, and allow you to move on with your life and stop holding on to the illusion. Because everything about the relationship, about them, from within every conversation and every interaction, none of it was real. It is all based on what they manipulated and eluded you to believe. From within this is what makes it okay. Start trusting yourself as the self-doubt that they instilled in you dissipates, because it had nothing to do with you truly having poor judgment, nor were you unlikable, unlovable, unworthy, undeserving, lesser than, not enough, incompetent, incapable, and that their demeaning remarks and insults that they hurled at your head have nothing to do with what defines you or who you are. None of it was personal. All simply a way to boost their ego and to make themselves feel bigger by putting you down. Period. You cannot be their hero, but you absolutely can be your own. So save you, because that is truly the only person that you can save, and you are worth and deserve so much more than these people will ever be able or capable of giving. It doesn't make you a monster. It makes you a survivor. Focus on you. Fuck the narcissist.